if you spend any time in the corners of the internet dedicated to international dating, or if you speak to any man who has decided to leave the West in search of a better life, one nationality dominates the conversation above all others: the Filipina. For decades, the Philippines has been the ultimate destination for the Western man seeking a wife. She is marketed to the Western mind as the holy grail of relationships. She speaks perfect English, often better than native speakers. She is raised in the Catholic faith, instilling in her deep, conservative values that seem to have evaporated in Europe and North America. She is described in forums and travel guides as submissive, incredibly loyal, and naturally feminine. For the Western man who is tired of the combativeness, the competition, and the coldness of modern dating, she represents a return to a golden age, a return to a simpler, happier time where men were men and women were women. But fantasies are dangerous things. They are dangerous because they blind us to the complex, sharp-edged reality. Is the Filipina woman truly the submissive angel that the brochures promise? Or is she a master strategist playing a survival game that you do not even know you are a part of? The truth is far more nuanced. The Philippines is not a patriarchy, as many assume. It is a covert matriarchy. The women run the show. They control the finances, they control the household, and they control the emotional temperature of the relationship. And while her love can be profound, fierce, and unconditional, it often comes with a price tag attached to a clan of 20 relatives who view you not just as a husband, but as a savior. Today, we are going to decode the complex heart of the Filipina. We will explain the psychological concepts of tampo and lambing, the crushing weight of family obligation known as utang na loob, and the subtle difference between finding the love of your life and becoming a walking ATM for an entire village. To understand the Filipina, you must first deconstruct the biggest myth, the myth of submission. When a Western man lands in Manila or Cebu, he is often overwhelmed by the level of service he receives. A Filipina girlfriend will cook your food 3 times a day. She will wash your clothes by hand if necessary. She will cut your toenails, massage your back after a long walk, and peel your shrimp for you at dinner. She takes an immense, visible pride in taking care of a man. To a Westerner, conditioned by a society that views service as weakness, this looks like submission. It looks like he has found a woman who will simply follow his lead. This is a mistake. It is not submission, it is management. In the Philippines, the woman is referred to as the Ilor ng Tahanan, which translates to the light of the home, but she is also the commander. The Filipina archetype is the iron butterfly. She is soft, beautiful, and delicate on the outside, but she is made of titanium on the inside. If you think you can go to the Philippines and boss her around simply because you are the man and you have the money, you are in for a rude awakening. She will not fight you directly like a Western woman might. She will not scream or debate logic. Instead, she will manage you. She will manipulate you with kindness, guiding you gently but firmly until you are doing exactly what she wants, all while thinking it was your idea. She is not looking for a master to obey. She is looking for a strong partner to help her carry the heavy burden of her family responsibilities. She wants a co-pilot, not a dictator. And how does she fight when things go wrong? This is where most foreigners completely lose their minds. She uses a weapon called tampo. Tampo is a cultural phenomenon that has no direct translation in English. It is often described as sulking, but it is much more tactical than that. It is a complete withdrawal of affection and communication. Let's say you make a joke that offends her, or you forget to buy a gift for her niece, or you refuse to send money to her uncle. She will not yell at you. She will not argue. She will simply shut down. She becomes a ghost in your own house. She will cook your dinner, place it on the table, and walk away without a word. She will stare past you as if you are made of glass. If you ask her, "Honey, are you mad?" she will look at the wall and whisper, "No," but the air in the room will be freezing cold. For a Western man who values direct, logical communication, this is psychological torture. You want to fix the problem, but she refuses to acknowledge that a problem exists. Tampo is a test. She is waiting for you to perform sayo. Sayo is the act of coaxing her back. She wants you to apologize, to hug her, to pursue her, and to prove that her feelings matter more than your logic. If you respond to tampo with anger, you lose. If you try to wait her out, you lose. This is the dark side of her emotional landscape. It is passive-aggressive, and it can feel like you are walking on eggshells, never knowing when the silence will fall. But if tampo is the poison, lambing is the antidote. And lambing is the reason men never leave. Lambing is the Filipino term for sweet, intense, almost childlike affection. When a Filipina is in the mood for lambing, she will be physically clingy. She will use a baby voice. She will stroke your hair, and she will make you feel like the most important, strongest man in the universe. It is a powerful bonding mechanism. The cycle of tampo and lambing creates an emotional roller coaster that can be highly addictive. You endure the silence to get back to the sweetness. Now, we must address the elephant in the room, the topic that makes everyone uncomfortable, but must be discussed: the money. The Philippines is a developing nation with extreme poverty. The average daily wage in the provinces can be less than $10. For many women, especially those from the provinces, known as provincianas, finding a foreign husband is not just a romantic dream, it is a survival strategy. It is the only lottery ticket that pays out. This brings us to the question that haunts every foreigner in the country: does she love me, or does she love my wallet? The brutal truth that you must accept is that the answer is usually both. In the West, we have the luxury of separating love and survival. We think love should be pure, detached from finances. In the Philippines, love is pragmatic. A man who cannot provide is not a man worth loving. She can genuinely love you. She can be attracted to you. She can be fiercely loyal to you, while simultaneously valuing the security you provide above all else. To her, your ability to provide is a romantic quality. However, you must learn to spot the predator. There is a class of women known as professional girlfriends. These are the women who view you strictly as a sponsor. How do you tell the difference? Watch the speed of the requests. If she is asking for a monthly allowance before you are even married, run. If she constantly has emergencies, a sick water buffalo, a hole in the roof, a cousin who needs tuition, a mother who needs surgery, you are being played. If you are dating a woman online and have never met her, but you are sending her money, you are not a boyfriend. You are a customer. You are paying a subscription fee for the illusion of affection. But let's assume you find a good, honest woman. Even then, you are not safe from the financial pressure, because when you date a Filipina, you do not just date her. You marry the barangay, the village. You marry the tribe. This is driven by a powerful cultural concept called utang na loob, which translates to debt of gratitude. In Filipino culture, a child owes a life debt to their parents for raising them. This debt can never fully be repaid. In many families, the children are viewed as the retirement plan. If you marry the eldest daughter, the panganay, you are inheriting the responsibility for her parents, her siblings, and sometimes her nieces and nephews. Even if you take her out of the Philippines and move her to America, the UK, or Australia, her mind will remain in the rice fields of her home province. She will spend hours on video calls every day. She will pack giant boxes called balikbayan boxes, filled with canned goods, chocolates, and clothes to send home every Christmas. And she will expect to send money, a lot of money. This is where the conflict starts. You work hard for your money. You want to save for your own retirement, for your own vacations. But she feels a crushing guilt if she eats a steak dinner while knowing her mother is eating rice and dried fish. If you try to stop her from helping her family, you become the enemy. You are asking her to choose between you and her blood. And in the Philippines, blood almost always wins. The successful relationships are the ones where the Western man understands this dynamic and sets a firm budget. He says, "We will send $200 a month, and no more." The failed men are the ones who try to cut the cord completely, or the ones who have no backbone and give everything until they are bankrupt. Furthermore, you have to decide which version of the Filipina you want to date, because the regional differences are massive. You essentially have two choices, the city girl or the province girl. The city girl lives in Manila or Cebu. She likely works in a BPO call center. She speaks perfect American English because she spends all day talking to American customers. She has Instagram, TikTok, and watches Netflix. She is westernized. The pros are that she is easy to talk to. She gets your jokes. She is likely making her own money, so she is less desperate. But the cons are significant. She knows the game. She has likely dated foreigners before. She may have the same feminist attitudes you are trying to escape in the West. She might see you merely as a stepping stone to a visa. Then you have the province girl, the province aina. She lives in a bamboo hut or a concrete blockhouse in the countryside. She washes her clothes in the river or with a hand pump. She is shy, incredibly conservative, and religious. She has likely had fewer boyfriends. For the man seeking the traditional submissive wife experience, she is the dream. She will treat you like a king because to her, you are a king. But the cost is the culture gap. She may not understand your sarcasm. She may be extremely superstitious. And because her family is poorer, the financial pressure on you will be much, much higher. You will be the sole provider for a clan that has nothing. You have to decide. Do you want a modern partner who challenges you, or a traditional partner who depends on you? Finally, we must touch on the legal traps. If you decide to commit, you must know that the Philippines is the only country in the world, aside from the Vatican, where divorce is illegal. There is no divorce. There is only annulment, which is a long, expensive, psychological nightmare that can take years and cost thousands of dollars. If you marry the wrong woman, you are stuck. You are legally bound to her. If she cheats, if she steals your money, if she turns out to be crazy, you cannot just sign a paper and leave. And you cannot own land. A foreigner cannot own land in the Philippines. You can buy the house structure, but the dirt underneath belongs to her. If you break up, you walk away with nothing. Many men have built beautiful villas in the provinces, pouring their life savings into a paradise home, only to be kicked out and left homeless when the relationship sours. The house is in her name. The land is in her name. You were just the financier. So, with all these warnings, is it worth it? Is the Filipina woman a trap? It can be, but for thousands of men, it is the best decision they ever made. Because despite the family drama, despite the tempo, and despite the financial pressure, the Filipina offers something that is almost extinct in the modern West. She offers a staying power. She offers a resilience that is awe-inspiring. This is a woman who smiles through typhoons, who finds joy in a simple bowl of rice, and who will stand by your hospital bed when you are old and sick, holding your hand, not because she is paid to, but because you are her husband. She brings a warmth to a home that transforms it. She makes you feel needed. She makes you feel like a man in a world that often tells you masculinity is toxic. But she is not a fragile flower to be plucked. She is a survivor to be respected. She demands that you honor her family. She demands that you lead with strength. And she demands that you take your role as a provider seriously. If you treat her with respect, if you set firm boundaries with her family, and if you navigate the cultural differences with patience, you will have the best wife in the world. But if you treat her like a servant, or if you are naive about the economics of survival, you will find yourself alone, broke, and wondering how the innocent angel outsmarted you. The Philippines is not for the naive, it is for the prepared. Choose wisely.